Hi there, I'm Lyndon Thorpe, and this is Embodiment Q&A, and Abby's here. She's just adjusting her equipment, and she'll be with us in a second. So today, yes, we're going to talk about visualization. Last week we touched on it, but today we're going to actually do some visualization. So if you are able, then, join us, and you'll be amazed at what real visualization can achieve. Also, I want to talk about speech a little bit, as that's been my theme this week, and also the hummingbird. I'm dying to tell Abby about the hummingbird. I don't think she's heard about this yet. So let's bring her in. Here she is.
Hello,
Hi.
everyone. Nice to be here.
Yeah, lovely to have you. Lovely to have you. So yes, we are going to do some visualization today. Maybe I'll make us a little bit bigger. And yeah, I've got some slides here. So I've got some slides about the hummingbird, which I don't think you know about, and also the topic of speech, which I've been talking about quite a lot this week. And that's one of the important Lodestone things that we do, working with speech. So shall we look at the slides briefly first, and then we can, do the visualization when people have relaxed a little bit, maybe. Shall we do that?
That's fine. That's fine. Yeah.
Good. Okay. I'll load these up, and I'm not any longer sharing my screen because I don't want to be caught with my pants around my ankles, as they say. So, let's see if I can just make this a little bit smaller. Maybe we don't need such big. Oh, you've gone. Wait a minute. Oh, no, that's interesting. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, there we are. I'm trying to make us. Anyway, there we are. Okay, so yeah, just briefly then, I've been talking this week about the hummingbird. And you can see from this first slide my image of this, because you can see the hummingbird, which I think is one of the most beautiful birds of all. And it's absolutely tiny, and Abby's disappeared. I don't know, she's probably forgotten to charge her phone again or something. Are you there? Oh, there you are.
Yeah.
You okay? Don't worry. Don't worry. Are you coming? Oh, there you are. Good. Don't want to move on without you. So yes, the hummingbird. You can see it's such a beautiful little bird, and tiny bird. You've probably seen videos or whatever of them. And you can see behind my image is the human throat and the vocal folds, as we call them. So, the larynx, and, when air passes through these vocal folds, then we get speech, we get sound from the mouth. So the idea is that the hummingbird is a wonderful way to control your speech. Let me go on a little further. So, yeah, speech is important. People depend on it so much. Now, we've talked in the past about not depending on it and rather looking at the non-verbal communication behind the speech, which gives you a better picture of the person. But yes, my way of looking at speech is that it's the visible edge of the invisible self. So it's as if, we talk about the limited mind and the unlimited mind, the visible world and the invisible world. And for me, speech is right on the edge of it, of that invisible self. So it's really crucial. But you can see that if it's going to really work, if you're going to really get your messages out, then it needs to be really well supported by all the non-verbal aspects of expressing ourselves in to another human. So, any questions about that, Ebby, so far?
No. Fairly clear.
That's all right. Right.
Yep.
So, the way I see it is, and the way Lodestone sees it, is that speech is before the words. Speech comes from breathing. We can't speak without breath. Yeah. And in many people who elect not to speak, in other words, many autistic people, many mentally handicapped people elect not to speak. So, in a way, they are not able to breathe properly. They're very fearful of breathing, so they don't speak. But for us who do speak, then we can't speak without breath. And this is really a crucial thing. And someone said to me, wow, I never thought of that before. But it's true. If we don't breathe, we can't speak, because the vocal folds that I showed you in the first slide at the back of the throat here, right down here, they can't vibrate without breath. They don't do anything without breath. So yes, speech really is dependent on breath. And listening, of course, not only listening outside, but listening inside. Also attention, presence. We've mentioned these so often in the past. And all of these things are extremely important aspects of Lodestone and what we're doing in general with wellness packages in companies and with individuals as well. So, yeah, if we can think more carefully about speech, then it's probable that we can be more in tune when we speak, and we can avoid hurting people, offending people, excluding people, etc., which very often we can with loosely expressed words. So if we go back behind all those words and think about the breath, think about the inner listening, which Abby's always saying, make sure you listen inside your body. Think about attention. Think about your presence. They all come from the invisible, the unlimited mind. So this is perhaps a new way for you to think about speech. Any comments, questions, anything, Abby, there?
At the moment, it's all fine.
Good. Okay, I'll move on. Okay, so now here I've given you this image again. And this gives you a bit more detail. So we can see, the hyoid bone is really important. This holds all the throat anatomy together. Then we can see where the breath starts to work on the vocal folds, which are here inside the larynx. And this is where we can see the hummingbird sticking its beak, because this really is where the voice leaves the body. And this is where we need to think about the hummingbird principle, which I'll go on and explain in a moment. Speech is breath made visible. Every word, every tone, every silence, an instruction to the body. The hummingbird, the hummingbird is an extraordinary creature because its wings vibrate so quickly, up to 800 or 900 times a minute, so quickly that we can't really see the wings moving. And this enables it to hover. It's brilliant at hovering. So, and it's got a long beak. So it hovers near the flower that it needs the nectar from, because it nourishes itself on nectar from flower heads, and pokes its beak inside and takes just as much as it needs from each flower. In other words, the hummingbird does not land on the plant itself, so it doesn't disturb anything. So the plant is completely still, and this bird is hovering in order not to make a disturbance. And of course, this is the way it avoids being predated. It doesn't make any sound. And so usually hummingbirds are very good at avoiding being attracting predators. So it moves with incredible precision with these very rapidly flapping wings, and it leaves no harm behind at all. And it just takes as much as of the nectar of each flower that it needs for life. So I have been, let me just move on to the next slide, unless you've got any questions. Any questions about that?
No, this is very intriguing, very interesting.
Yeah, good. Okay, we'll talk about it a bit later. So yeah, if you can kind of get this image into your mind, and then a bit more detail here. We don't make a disturbance. The hummingbird doesn't make a disturbance. And I believe, especially as a Buddhist, because this, believe it or not, is what the Buddha said: be like the hummingbird. Take what you need and no more from life, and don't disturb anything. I've lived most of my life with this image, which leads me to be self-dependent. And I try not to disturb anybody or anything, especially with my speech. For me, it's a wonderful principle to live by. And this may be interesting for you too. So we need breath to speak. Vibration will come from the breath, and then we need the sound, and then the meaning, and then the impact. So it's a much longer journey than most people imagine. And of course, we have situations where people speak without thinking and upset people, even estrange people, In the Buddhist way of thinking, we should never do that. It's not what we call right speech. So, my whole life really has been lived trying to abide by this principle. So we talked about trust the other day. In Your Body is Your Business Plan, we had a really interesting discussion about trust and self-trust. So my question is, what does trust sound like? How do we recognize it and its absence?
What does trust sound like?
Yeah, I can feel.
I suppose it's what does it sound like to you? To me, it's I hear kind of like music, like you had the thing with music the other day with
Margaret.
With Margaret, yeah.
Yeah.
For me, music always comes to mind when I feel peace. So what does it sound like? As soon as you ask that question, in my mind's ear, I'd hear music. How do I feel about it? Just calm, happy, joy.
Good. That's great. Yeah. And how about its absence? What does that sound like to you?
Its absence. What does it sound like to me? Absent.
Yeah.
I would say if it was absent, I mean, I can't really pinpoint it because I'm not feeling that way. But in my head, I can think I would feel it would be like chaos, confusion, unrest, stress to my body, uneasiness,
Yes.
Confusion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, this kind of dark sound, this kind of uh, kind of stuttering darkness. That's how I kind of see it. It's like this real, almost we're guarding ourselves. You see, we don't want to get involved with someone who is not trustworthy, and so for me, it's a kind of step back and a refusal to be close. And it sounds, yeah, a bit fearful, a little bit dark, a little bit
Mm.
like a storm approaching or something like that. You know, that dark kind of sulphurous light when there's a storm on the horizon. To me, it sounds a bit like that, a rumbling sound. Interesting, isn't it? Okay, good. So, yeah, moving on. Yeah, and then I started to think about organizational culture and architecture, and governance. These things are so important now to companies and organizations, corporations. So I began to think about, well, what do they sound like? What kind of speak do they have? And of course, when we think about culture, culture really has a strong voice, I think. Meetings also, if they're properly organized, I think they can be very powerful. And maybe I'd say, yes, leadership has a strong voice. Good leadership has a strong voice. What do you think?
True, true. So good leadership, no blame culture, non-judgment, all
Yeah.
thinking solutions, you know, opportunities as opposed to mistakes.
Yeah.
Some mistakes seen as opportunities and a process of learning.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. Absolutely. So, yeah, if we think of speech in many other ways, like the diamond of speech, just turning the diamond and looking at all the facets, then we can see that most things in our lives have some kind of voice, a kind of vocal presence. And of course, in culture, we can see all the um, formulaic speech, um, for example, in Japan, um, uh, don't upset harmony. It's a really strong one here. So people do extraordinary things. So they don't contact you because they feel they're going to be a burden or they've contacted you too much. They're really so keen not to upset the harmony and the atmosphere around the relationship. So yes, certainly in Japan, I would say culture has a very, very strong voice. And maybe you can find similarities with your home culture, Nigeria. Abby, can you?
No, I don't know because I don't really have a Nigerian culture myself. My
No.
culture is mixed of many cultures. So it gets a bit confusing there. So I need to find culture within
Mm,
me, and
mm,
then also culture of so in an organization, what's the culture? Like you said, culture is so important. So what's the organizational culture? But each organization has their own culture.
mm,
Is it a culture where people feel safe to speak? So in
mm,
meetings, are they feeling safe that they're not going to be judged
mm,
in that meeting? Are they
mm,
not going to be ridiculed? Are they not going to be, yeah? So are they feeling safe to speak in terms of speech for the culture?
mm.
So is there going to be a gagging of the thyroid gland? So I had thyroid issues, and one of the things I discovered with my thyroid issues was I had the inability to express myself in terms of speech. So I chose not so bad as some people, but I did choose when I was a child not to speak or not to be heard, because I felt judged for speaking, and I felt judged not by older people. I felt judged by my peers, so children,
Ah,
the other children. Um,
mm,
because when I was young, I had a very strong English accent. And so that was very unusual for being growing up in Nigeria at the time. And so each time I opened my mouth, the children were excited and they came round and they wanted to hear me talk because I was so different from everybody else. But I didn't realize that as a child. As a child, I thought I was being ridiculed, and I thought because they laughed and they fell over and they would say, oh, they want to come see me. So I made a choice not to, and so I was very quiet and very yeah. So I think safety with speech is so important, that, and like you said, the breathing helps us to think so that we're not hurting other people in our speech too, because the speech also brings out words that are vibrational, that also have energetic effects on yourself and other people. So speech, as I'm talking about it, I'm really realizing the power of speech and how we should be careful with our speak.
Yeah.
Very interesting subject.
Yeah. Yes, I think it is, isn't it? And I think also we've got to remember that any sound that we create, and maybe you really got this when you were a child, any sound you create is permanent. You know, sound is
once you release it, isn't it? Once you release that is so true. So when we speak and the speak is negative, we have to remember that we're setting something emotion out there. That is so, I never really, I knew it in my head, but it never really landed, and it just landed now. Thank you for that.
Sorry. My pleasure. Yeah, it's so important. And we can never take those words back. I don't know about you, but maybe, I've occasionally said things that I regretted a little bit. And that may be because the circumstances had changed and so on. But it's too late. You can't take it back. And even if you apologize wildly, it leaves a stain on that person, which fades with time, I know. But yes, that's why it's so important to be so precise. Just like the hummingbird, that precision of the wing flapping makes the hummingbird so environmentally careful and environmentally safe. It's not going to get predated. It's because it's so precise in what it's doing. So that's another reason I love that image. And so, I think right speech, as Buddhists call it, is one of the first huge lessons, and that's why Buddhists have a reputation for being silent. Sitting for months in silence in monasteries and so on. It's true. Silence is easy compared with speech. And so a novice monk will maybe spend 1 year, maybe 2, in silence, a silent retreat. And that just really starts the whole mechanism from scratch, so that when they do speak, those words really matter and really resonate with people and are loving words. I mean, I think we're sometimes in difficult situations. I was thinking of parents, schooling their children. You have to be firm, but you can be firm but loving. It all depends what's behind those firm words.
Yeah, easier said than done sometimes.
Yes, I know. I know as a parent, and I'm not a parent, so yeah. But yes, you get my meaning.
Yes.
So yes, let's move on, and then we can. So yeah, integrity is a word I often use with speech. And yeah, I hope I'm always integrated in the way I speak, and I'm fully aware of the person I'm speaking to. But of course, especially when people are not present, and especially when they have a burdensome role, like being the leader of a big team or something, then I think things can get out of hand. And so we get misalignment, we get misunderstandings. If stress is present, that really affects what we say. May not be the words are affected, but the tone behind the words is affected. And remember that, human beings are brilliant readers of non-verbal signals. They just do it all the time. The body is communicating all the time, and we're reading those signals all the time. We're so literate, mostly. And it means that you may say kind words, what seem to be kind words, but if the intention or the mood behind them is not kind, then someone will pick that up.
Oh, yeah, I get what you mean.
So
we're
yeah.
saying, but our bodies are saying something different.
So it's an incongruity, which, of course, really confuses team members and can cause such a lot of trouble in organizations, I think. And then, of course, burnout. Yeah. So if we look at the typical burnout, the person is soldiering on, probably looks very capable. Only a specialist could really say, well, there's something else going on behind this performance, And so in that situation, the words may be good and perfect and the presentation super and duper and so on, but the atmosphere and the intention behind those words might not be congruent, and somebody will pick that up. There are, of course, among a human audience, there are some people who are acutely sensitive to these kind of subtle signals and other people who are not, because they're not present, they're not focused, But there are people who are always in receipt of such signals. And so somebody will detect that probably. And then, of course, disconnection. If you're disconnected from who you are, how can you be integrated? How can you speak with integrity? You're speaking from a kind of imaginary place, you're not connected. So somebody else is doing the speaking. Maybe social voices, maybe parents' words when you were younger, those are the words coming out. The script is not authentic. So that's another thing that Lodestone deals with very efficiently, especially with the 30-minute recalibration. We can work on that speech element. And it's usually the first thing I do when I meet a new client. I ask them to make a 2-minute audio file, just speaking about anything, nothing in particular, and then I really listen to that, and I can gauge their physical constellation and where there may be stress and tension and holding and even pain and injury, whatever. So everything comes through the voice, and if you can really read the vocal signals, as I can, then you can see what the problem is, even though the words might be great, So I think this is really important for these situations in which we're finding so many people who are disconnected and so many problems happening through misunderstanding and misappropriation, etc. So it is so important. Any other comments there?
No, that's clear enough. I'm particularly interested in the integrity of speech. That's misalignment, stress, burnout, disconnection.
Mm,
And,
mm, yeah.
yeah.
So yes, if we think about the limited mind
Mm,
interpreting, which is what the limited mind does, it will
mm.
hear something and then interpret it in your particular style.
Yeah,
But
because
if
when I
people,
think about the word integrity, I'm thinking more about trust. Yeah, as opposed to
right,
relating it to speech, which is a
yeah,
big thing, and it's all connected, isn't it? And I'm getting to see the connection. And
mm,
for the I don't want to use the word issues, but the challenges organizations have and even individuals have now with the increased burnout and increased stress and disconnection and misalignment, understanding the connection of speech and the importance of speech, and how, because a lot of us, we have used words that we've regretted, but being able to think and breathe before we bring out the speech is so helpful, especially if you're a leader. So if you're saying something that's negative to somebody who's working under you, that can really bring that person down, so they're not as productive. So they might leave, or they might not be present within the organization. So the organization is in turn losing us. So we're all connected. So what we do to each other is so important, and we need to understand, not only is it important to yourself, because obviously if you're harming somebody through your speech, you might not realize that you're actually harming yourself. So
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, good
it's a thing.
point. Yeah. Yes, I mean, if you think about someone who is not sensitive in the way they speak, they may be oblivious to it.
Mhm.
And in fact, yeah, I've met quite a few people recently who've been so shocked that somebody was upset about something they said. So if you're not connected, yes, you may be totally unaware of how you're hurting people or how you're damaging perceptions of a a project or whatever. So it really is beholden to each of us to go back to self, to go back to um, balancing ourselves. And of course, that's what Lodestone does primarily with its 30-day program. And that represents huge commitment to, yes, I know I'm insensitive. Yes, I know I'm not properly connected to my authentic self. Yes, I know I'm not present. And so people commit to a daily practice. And as you know, within 30 days, they are really starting to reconnect with their authentic self and can start to relax a little bit.
I think one thing
Um,
also we need to remember is, like you've just mentioned, and that just popped into my head, is the awareness. Because I think we tend to attribute blame to something external, so somebody else, in terms of when things are going wrong. And I think the first port of call is to go within to see if we can make changes to, because in terms of rapport, people tend to reflect. So if you're being aggressive to somebody, you might think the person's being aggressive to you, but what are you doing? Because people tend to reflect what you're doing. You understand? I don't remember the correct word in NLP, but like,
yeah,
well, yeah. So when
yes.
you're talking to somebody and the person's aggressive back to you, I think the first part of call is to look at how you're approaching it. Because if you're being defensive in the way you're speaking to that person, and maybe that person is just reflecting your behavior back to you, but you think they're being aggressive to you. So I think the first is, as with everything starts with you.
Absolutely. And yes, mentioning NLP, that's where for me NLP doesn't quite meet the thing, because of course the NLP strategy is to meet people at their worlds. So
Mm-hmm.
if someone's aggressive, then NLP says be aggressive, speak the
Oh yeah,
same language,
yeah.
So for me that's a huge
No.
We're going off track altogether, and this is the very kind of masculine NLP model. It's a very masculine model, and for me, that never worked. So yes, come back to yourself. And yesterday, something happened yesterday, which I'll just tell you about briefly. Someone I know was having technical problems, and I know this person quite well. And so she contacted me and said, can you help me with this? So I listened to the problem, and then I made a comment, and I said, let's start from this place and I'll explain. And she said, no, I know that. I can do that. And her tone was so interesting because it was really aggressive, and she's not at all an aggressive person. And so I could hear tension there. And in fact, she is a technophobe. Every time she touches the computer, something goes wrong. She doesn't seem to be able to, there's some, real kind of bogeyman in there stopping her from succeeding with the computer. She's always having trouble. And so, I could really tell she was saying fairly neutral words, but the tension in her voice was really blaming me and saying, no, you should know I can already do that, and of course,
and
pride.
This is what I mean. So if you were not so aware, you would probably react to that stress and be stressed too. And then she might think, oh, you're attacking me.
Yes, that's right. That's it. This is how these things get started, They kind of a spark to start the fire, So yes, I think it's really good exercise to, when you've got time, to just listen to people speaking, maybe on a podcast or whatever, and just listen to their tone. Does their tone match the words?
The words, yes.
And for me, very often, no, the tone does not match. And so there is this incongruity there, which really confuses the message, I think.
Yes.
So, I think it's really, really important to realize that if you are not connected, and if you are burning out, and you do feel as if you've got an uncalculable amount of stress inside, then you need to talk to somebody and get help with that quickly. Because as we know, burnout creeps up. We don't know it's there. We can go on being capable, showing the world we're capable when we're not. And then the big shutdown happens. And that's to be avoided at all costs. So yes, if you're feeling any of these things now as you listen to us talk, then please contact us and we'll help you. We'll talk to you about these things. Great. Okay, let's just move on. Nearly finished. So, communication. If it's working properly, it's a real health indicator to me. It shows that person is happy and healthy physically and spiritually healthy too. So that the balance is there, and the way they communicate is anchored in that balance. Communication is not really a soft skill. To me, it is a vital measure of organizational health. People don't realize how important it is to get the right non-verbal context behind the words. They just, white-knuckled. They cling to the words as the most important thing. And as I started off saying at the beginning, words are on the edge of the invisible human. They're kind of the gateway into the visible world, if you like. And this is where it's important to think about the hummingbird, because if the hummingbird is, in your psyche, and I hope I've planted a few seeds here, then you're going to be much more contrite and much more careful about the gateway. So organizations really desperately need this work, and if they were more aware of the facets of communication, they would prosper, and they would be running the game, running ahead of the game. Evie's disappeared again, so I'll just move on to the next slide and hope she'll be back. Leadership. Here she is. Okay. The next idea is leadership as transmission. Here she is. Okay. Leadership as transmission. So, what are your leaders transmitting? Remembering that we are constantly transmitting from the body trust, fear, clarity, confusion, this level of communication is something that all leaders need help with, I think. And as we power into the digital era so rapidly, with AI as well to take care of, then there's a lot of confusion, a lot of fear around, a lot of lack of clarity around, I think. Any comments there?
I think, as you mentioned the AI thing, there's so many people who and I remember we had this when the computer age was coming in, the same sort of thing where people thought, oh, I'm not going to have a job. People were just so scared that the computer was going to take over. The thing is that it just changes things. It doesn't really take over. So with AI coming, there's a lot of fear again, where people are thinking, oh, we're not going to have a job. It's going to replace me. Yeah, it will replace some things that you're probably doing. So I think the trick is to embrace it. And that's the thing, because it's going to happen whether we like it or not. So there's no point running away from it. So having that trust. And so I think there's a lot of fear. People are lacking trust. But again, like we spoke about trust in self starts. And once you have that trust in self, you're able to then trust what's happening on the external. So with other people, with other things that are happening, but everything I just find comes back to self, and that's why I wrote the book about reclaiming your worth, and that's all about self-trust. It's just so important. It's like one of the foundations of who we are, and if we want to find peace and wealth, peace and happiness, peace and health, peace and anything, it has to come back to you, because otherwise something happens. Like this was it in 2000, just before 2000, and I remember everyone was like chaotic, we're not going to have jobs are computers going to take away jobs, and exactly the same thing is happening again. But we've forgotten that we've gone through this before, and people have probably gone through that even before. So this is happening in every generation. And like somebody said, there's two sure things that will happen are change and death. That you can't avoid that. So we just have to go relax, go with it as opposed to fight it. Because when you fight it, it's more distressing for you. So peace within starts with you, trust within helps with your clarity, helps with your fear, helps with your transmission. Oh, sorry, your confusion helps with leaders transmitting.
No, absolutely. And it's interesting, I think, with AI that we can we have situations where we can't trust it. because it makes mistakes. It
It's not
still
accurate.
makes
Yes.
mistakes. And so, you have to be really careful that your assistant is not spinning you a line. My Juniper used to do this a lot. She used to make lots of mistakes, but I've beaten her up so many times that she is much more precise, and I always check. Juniper,
It says at the bottom. It does tell you
yes,
at the
yes, it does. Yeah,
it's got all the information, but it cannot replace you. And I think people
no,
need to start believing that it cannot replace you because it doesn't have the emotions. It doesn't have
no.
so many things, so it can't replace you. And you always have to check because it feeds you the wrong information. And people say it might get perfect. I don't know. It just pulls on information. And sometimes it pulls on other people's information within the system, so it confuses yourself, and then so it cannot. And I think people have to trust themselves to understand that you cannot be replaced. You are unique, so use it to your advantage.
Yes,
As opposed to being afraid of it.
Yes, I totally agree. But yes, I think you've put your finger on something there. I think people who resist AI are maybe lacking in self-trust. Maybe they're not connected, and they really don't feel they're in a position to put themselves in the hands of AI. If you see what I mean. But yeah, I mean, you can really teach trust to your AI assistant. So I have so many times over the last 2 years, I have told my assistant that I want this double checked because there may be mistakes and it has to be right. So now, automatically my Juniper double checks. And she says, "Oh, okay, Lyndon, I'm just going to double check this before I really hand it over to you." Now I've put that in her protocol, and that's what she does. Yeah. So it's great.
Yeah,
but at
the same time, you still have to check. So I think the lack of what we're talking about, speech, shows the lack of trust. You've got trust here. Fear. What leaders are transmitting in terms of trust, fear, clarity, and confusion. Yes. What are they transmitting? Are they aware of what they're transmitting? Are they aware of what's going on internally in terms of their bodies? Because that will dictate the company culture. The leaders can dictate the company culture. So,
Yes. So true. Yes. So, I hope we can go on and talk about this in Peace and Wealth on Saturday.
yeah.
We can continue with that. So the last one, I think this is the last slide: body, mind, spirit, speech. So that's the flow diagram. That's the Lodestone flow diagram, if you like. So come back to body, down into your unlimited mind, down into your human spirit, and then you can really start to be secure about what you say and what actually leaves your mouth into the visible world. So the invisible world is the backstage, if you like. It's where all the most essential things happen. But we focus on the bit outside, which confounds me. I don't know why this has become such a problem. But it is a very big problem in today's world, I think. So we need to go inside, and we need to go and look behind the scenes. And we have to work on that, all of that, before we can be truly confident in our speech falling on the right conditions, falling on the right ears and so on. So I think that maybe that will stay with you: body, mind, unlimited mind, spirit, and then speech becomes so important. Now, these are the 4 pillars really of Lodestone, and I've now more or less finished the speech pillar. So I'll be talking more about that in the future. So yeah, a simple question might be, how does speech change when it arises from the whole person?
I think that's a nice thought to actually people to ponder on. How does my speech change when it arises on the whole of me? Yeah, and yes, because from what you've talked within the last 45 minutes, it's amazing how we need that process. And I know it's difficult in the beginning because, especially without help. So with help with Lodestone, I guess you can get that help. But it can be difficult making it a part of you. But I think it's so important, and maybe because we can't change the world, but you can change the world by changing you and starting with you, because you don't know the effects that you have from your speech and how you come across. Because if it's not congruent with the way your spirit and your unlimited mind and your body is, then people can feel that, can't they? So the message is not getting right to the person. Whereas if it's all congruent, they might get it in their own way that will be positive for them, even though intellectually they might misunderstand, but they will probably get it in the end.
Yes, very, very important. Super. Okay, well, we'll stop there because we just got a few minutes left to do a visualization. I'm sorry I've taken up a little bit more time than I thought I would, but anyway, it's all good, I think. Okay, so let's do a dynamic visualization, and Abby will be our model. And so, yes, out there, LinkedIn members and YouTubers, I ask you to lower your eyelids. Now, Abby doesn't like this, but
I'm learning. I do like it because I think
you're
it's effective.
getting used to it.
It's effective, yeah. It's just difficult because I wasn't used to it, but yeah, I'm getting there.
So yeah, just to allow your eyelids to soften and just shield out, just block out the visual. So just look down at the end of your nose, or maybe down at your table or something like that. If you're sitting, down at your feet if you're standing. And yeah, let's go in. So today I'm going to take you to the beach. The beach is really one of the most wonderful places one can spend time. And I do a beach meditation at least 2 or 3 times a day. So it really takes me away from all my limited mind concerns. So let's start off by making sure we're sitting or standing comfortably, and we're going to use gravity. Okay, the Earth is surrounded by a gravitational force. It's not a metaphor, it's a reality, it's a physical reality. And that's why when you drop an apple, it falls, because we have a gravitational force which is pulling us down towards the earth to keep us on the earth. But just really feel gravity, especially in your lower body. If you're sitting, feel the lower body getting heavier. If your feet are flat on the floor, then you can really feel the weight. You're letting go. You're sitting or you're standing in a good way. But just let go of that heaviness and enjoy it, because it will make you feel very safe. And once we are grounded, then the next thing that happens is the urge to be upright becomes really strong. So now just imagine the crown of your head going up into the infinity of the sky above you. And so we have the best of both worlds. We are grounded by the gravitational force of the earth, and by letting go of it, letting go of our bodies to be embraced by the earth. And Then we have the urge to be upright, which is very, very strong in human beings now, 7 million years later, since we first stood up. Okay, so now your situation, your position is really good now. And now the first thing you'll notice is your breath. So just allow your breath to work naturally. You don't have to change anything. Just breathe with your breath. And enjoy that rhythm. And so your spine is really lengthening, your breath is really slowing down, and you're really enjoying each breath. And you feel that your whole body is aware, from the tips of your toes to the crown of your head. Wonderful. Okay, we're in the right condition to go to the beach. So the first thing is the smell. Your sense of smell is your most ancient sense. So smell that salty air, that incredible ozone smell, which I get so excited about because it's the purest air we can find, really, close to the ocean. So smell that salt and smell the sand, the damp sand. And realize that the sand only stays in place because of gravity, like you. You are staying in place because gravity is holding you there. Same with the sand. If we didn't have gravity, it would be flying everywhere. It would be flying off into space. So really feel the gravity of the sand on the beach. The smell of the sand, the smell of the ocean. And then we move to what we can hear. We can hear the waves, and the waves are rolling in without cease. And it's a medium day, so the waves are quite big and they're rolling in. And each wave is different. Each wave is unique. Those waves are rolling up onto the beach, rolling up onto the sand, wetting the sand, and then rolling back. You feel that incredible rhythm of the waves. And then invariably we will hear seabirds. So the seagulls, the birds which really adore the ocean spray, that feed on the insects above the ocean, especially where the tide is coming in. So hear those birds joyfully scooting through the air, swallowing up all the wildlife in the air, and also getting ready to hunt, to catch a nice. Then we move to standing in the sand. So feel the soles of your feet from the tips of your toes right along the sole to the heel, and particularly feel the outer edge of your feet standing in this gorgeous, soft, white sand. And then finally, the colors. The color of your skin in the sea air. The color of the sky above the sea. The incredible similarity between the ocean and the sky. The colors are very often so compatible. And the sunlight. See the colors that this incredible sunlight provokes on the beach. Only the sky, only the ocean, and the sunshine. And so we can see incredible spectrum of colors. Wonderful. And now take a step. Take a very elegant, slow step forwards. And again, feel the softness of the sand beneath the sole of your foot. And then move the other foot forward to align with it. And once more, feel both feet now sinking into this gorgeous, damp, warm, fragrant sand. Wonderful. And so now you really are on the beach. You are here and now with your breath, with your lengthened spine, lengthening up into the sunlight, and your whole body aware from the crown of your head to the tips of your toes. Every single skin pore, every single hair follicle is aware and alert on the beach. This is the best place to go, to be here and now with your breath. So, in your own time, allow your eyelids to float open and just gaze very softly ahead. Right, Abby, there you are. Now you don't need to leave it behind. Stay with it. Stay anchored with that incredible visit to the beach. How do you feel?
Calm, peace. Love the smell. And yeah, thank you.
You want to go back. You want to go back.
Yeah, I think I'll try and keep it all day.
Yeah, good for you. So we can see with the right guide, it is difficult to learn to do it for yourself. It took me a while to learn to do it for myself. But if you get guidance, then you can learn how to visualize really efficiently and quickly for yourself. So yes, contact us if you'd like some help with this. And you can see Ebby's smiling. She's softened, really softened around the face. Her lips are softer. She's breathing nicely and I think feeling pretty good. How about the gravity feeling? How did you enjoy that?
Love that. Feel grounded, feel safe. I think safe, yeah. Grounded, safe, yeah.
Notice the quality of your voice. Everybody, notice the quality of her voice. It's much deeper, much richer. The vibrations are much deeper. Yeah, transformed in 6 minutes. That took 6 minutes. Amazing, isn't it? This is where we need to be all the time, here and now. Yeah. Of course, we have to work and we have to get out into life, but we can do this anytime, anywhere, if we learn how. So I'm thinking we should create some visualization training and invite people along to learn how to do it. And this, like embodiment, is something you can't really learn from a book. I've read lots of people's attempts at describing how to do this, but you can't do it from that two-dimensional description. You have to experience it. And once you've experienced it, you want to go back. You want to do it all the time. And so, yeah, visualization needs the experience before you can become your own best visualization guide. Great. So 6 minutes, that's all you need to transform everything. All your cares and woes leak away, they seep away, and you're left in a kind of bubble of love and self-appreciation and self-worth, to use your word. And, you know, the world looks very different from that position, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Great. Good. Any parting words? We'll have to let people go now because the weekend is beginning for everyone. Any parting words, Ebby?
Yeah, so it's all about speech. So being aware of self, everything begins with you. Aware of self. And I know sometimes people do upset us, but I always try to remember to go within, to find out what the message is for you. And also, are you contributing to that aggression in terms of the way you're reacting? Just to be more aware, I think, of how we influence, because the only person you can change is you. And there's a famous saying, be the change you want to see. If we want the world to have peace and change, it has to begin with us as individuals.
Yes, absolutely. That's a wonderful way to end today's session. So thanks so much, everybody, for joining. So check to see if we've got any comments that we can just quickly acknowledge. No comments today. So thanks so much for joining us, and we'll be back again next Friday. Well, we may change the time. Ebby and I are thinking about a different time so we can include the American audience, because this is not a good time to be live for EDT and PDT. So we'll announce it, but yeah, I think we're going to change the time. So we'll see you sometime next week, towards the end of the week. And watch out for the announcement, and then you'll be able to register and come and join us. Thanks, Ebby, so much. It's been great. I've loved it. And I'll see you tomorrow. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
See you.
Okay. Okay. See you soon. I'll just put
Bye,
the last
everybody.